So for those people who are fans of DSP, choose, at the end of the day, you'll see the light for what it is when you see it. But you should know that you can always go somewhere else. You're not stuck there. He's not your end-all, be-all. And the sooner that you at least realize that, the better off you'll be. Just a piece of advice. DSP News.
Used to be like that, and now I'm becoming more and more just about having fun and relaxing with you guys and enjoying games at face value rather than being the guy that has to be the controversial guy who rips a new game to a new asshole or talks about this controversial topic and goes on a rant, okay? So, it's called improvement. It's called self-improvement, okay? So, AES, I'd actually like to say thank you because you're saying that actually makes me feel good because it's hard when you have a track record of 10 years and some people are like, man, Phil, you used to be an asshole, you did this and did that. It's good to hear that people now in 2018 are actually feeling that I am changing and I am a better person than I was. So thank you for that. That actually was a really nice message, in my opinion, okay? Thank you.
I have to go collect money or something.
Alright, shout out to the Canada Sin. And Cheers says, will you start doing sponsor streams every other week? I remember you were thinking of doing that over the summer, and that would be cool. Well, here's the deal, Canada Sin. Here's what happened. Basically, Twitch's sponsored bounty board, which is what they call it, apparently has been having tons of issues, and or they're having internal things with the program and just don't want to talk about it, because my understanding was that the bounty board was supposed to refresh once a week with new offers, and based off of those offers, you could pick the best ones that fit your schedule and or fit the kind of games you want to play, and you know, this would be an ongoing process. All of a sudden, the bounty board completely dried up for almost a month, and there was like maybe every once in a while, one or two.
Now, Snorpernell brings up a very excellent point, which leads into my theory. So after the last bounty, well, his first official bounty stream, where he screwed up, that game company was like, we don't want no parts of that, don't let this happen again. I think for him individually, as an individual, as Snorpernell's saying, everything dried up for him. Now let's throw out an analogy for a minute. So let's say that myself, Almighty Tevin, praise be Almighty, James the Lesser, Jackal's Lair, LSB, and I don't know anybody else. So let's pick one more person. And G Money we're all on Twitch, right? And each one of us are in a different position. Some of us are partnered, some of us are affiliate, some of us are just regular people, right? Okay. Now this is just my theory. I don't know exactly how the system works per se, but there has to be some type of nuances between those different levels. So what if that for the people who aren't partnered yet, but and who are not affiliates yet, but who can at least participate in this bounty system, what if certain games are available to them? And then as you go up the level, more and more games are available, as well as the quality of games are available. Let's say that this bounty system, each game pays slightly different. Let's just say it does. I don't think it does. I think they all pay the same across the board. But, what's up, Kenny? Okay, never mind. Well, Kenny says we actually have a video going over that, so we actually got it. So give me a second. But let's say that they pay slightly different and whatnot, depending on where your position is at, from partner to, you know, a non-partnered person. Let's say that I'll take the position of bad guy because I like that anyway. Let's say that I end up spurging out one night on stream for whatever reason, and the sponsored game that I was playing, or I had played the day before, is like the developer for that is like, whoa, you know, we don't have too much of a problem with him. He's always been good with us, but you know, we need you to discipline him for this situation. He went way out of hand. So Twitch comes to me and was like, hey man, you might have to just chill off the bounty system for a little while. We have to discipline you because of such and such. So they say, okay, you're off the bounty system for about 2 weeks. Let's say that, excuse me. And then when I come back, let's say the amount of games that used to be available to me, as well as the quality of games have been limited, right? Because I'm on like suspension, if you will. You know what I mean? I'm being disciplined for me acting like a total asshole. What if, in the last 2 months that Phil had that situation with the last developer, that when the bounty system refreshes day after day or week after week or whatever the case may be, they purposely limited what he saw and whatnot moving forward as a disciplinary act, and that's why he didn't deal with it. Maybe his person there told him, hey man, we don't want to, I can't help you. You're just gonna have to bite the bullet for at least a couple months, and then games will start to trickle back in. And he just bit the bullet. That's the reason why he didn't mention anything about it. That's the reason why he didn't say anything about it. That's why he didn't participate in anything. Now, it's not a sound theory, But if I had to guess as it pertains to tiers, you got to think that your Ninjas, your Shrouds, your Dr. Disrespects, and guys like that, they definitely get the great, they get the pick of the litter when it comes to the bounty system. If they choose to participate, of course. They get the pick of the litter. And then everybody else kind of just, you know, depending on your status on Twitch, it depends on what you get. It's just something to think about. Let's let him finish this point, and then we'll get into the soundbite.
Offer like a mobile game, which I didn't want to do. You know, I don't want to drop my whole schedule here. It's one thing if it's an indie game or a console game. I don't want to drop everything I'm doing to play a fucking mobile game out of nowhere to do a sponsored stream. I'm not that kind of guy. You know what I mean? So really, there haven't been any opportunities going out in regards to the bounty board at all for sponsorship. Like, it's been dead. And I actually have been in contact with Twitch asking what is going on, because you guys really heavily promoted this during the summer. Like, this was going to be a big thing. And what happened to it? And basically the response I've been getting, I'll be very honest with you guys, is, oh, well, the bounty board team is saying they're having problems and that things don't display properly and all that. I don't know if I should believe that or not. You know, it could be a combination of many factors. You know, I don't know what those factors are. It could be many things. I mean, obviously, I need
personal accountability has to play a factor in this equation, ladies and gentlemen.
Negative. I would say, oh, it's because detractors harassed the game developer of the last sponsor stream that I did. It could be that.
Oh my god.
It could be legitimately that they're having technical issues with the bounty board that doesn't display properly and people don't see any offers. It could be a combination. It could be that maybe they just didn't have any offers during the summer, and now that we're heading into the fall, you're going to get more offers because now there's more games that want promotion, right? I don't know. It could be a combination of things. All right. If the bounty board ends up getting a lot of great opportunities to play games coming up in the next few months, and it's games that I'm interested in, and aren't things that are going to stick out like a sore thumb in my schedule, I'm like, the hell, why is Phil playing in? Then I'll probably do it. I'll probably do a sponsor stream here or there. Will it be every other week? I have no idea. It all depends, okay, on what's available. It's basically, it's out of my hands, you know? Whatever shows up, and if it's something that looks good, and I accept it, and it's a program, then I do it. But that's kind of what happened in the summer. There was an offer, I accepted it, I did the stream, boom, bang, done. And that was it. And since then, there really hasn't been anything besides, like, little mobile game offers, and I was like, what the hell gives? What happened here? So finally now, it seems like this week there may be an offer for something that I'm interested in, and I've tried to get into it. I'll let you know what happens. If I do get accepted, I'm going to try to do it Tuesday night, okay? We'll see what happens, and we'll see what happens. And we'll go from there. I don't want to promise you guys the world. If it does happen Tuesday night, obviously the more of you who show up to watch, the better, because the sponsor stream, the point is to get eyes on a game, right? So I'll let you know once I get accepted and all that details clear and everything, and we'll go from there, okay?
I get to choose a horse.
Okay, now let's get into the soundbite, and let's see what can really come about from a sponsored stream and what money can really be made. Now remember, going into this video, Phil is a full-time streamer, right? This is his profession now. YouTube is just an archive, okay? So I want you to think about what happens when you're narrow-minded, and let's actually take a look at this. This is by The Sky's Toast, by the way. I'll have the link to his video in the description, as well as the other videos that I mentioned earlier. Here we go.
This one is so comprehensive that I will probably have to do another standalone video on it because sponsorship has a huge range. But to give you the basics, here are ways a Twitch streamer can get sponsored to do something. Sponsored stream, sponsored YouTube video, a sponsored live appearance at an event, a sponsored tweet, or a sponsored Instagram. A sponsored stream is when a streamer is paid to play a certain game. For example, recently, EA paid all the top streamers on Twitch to play Battlefield 5. You can tell because all these streamers put the hashtag ad in their title, hashtag ad or hashtag sponsored. This is because they are legally obligated to do so by the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission. The hourly rate for these paid gameplay usually ranges between 1 cent to $1 per viewer, which means someone like me, who averages 10,000 viewers, can get paid between $1,000 to $10,000 per hour to play a game. And yes, I have done 1,000 per hour, and I've also done 10,000 per hour personally. So that's a pretty wide range, right? At the very end, you have 10 times what you get at the beginning. And the reason for this is there's a lot of factors. It's like, how fun is the game? How much money does the company have? You know, a mobile game from Asia probably have deeper pockets than an indie passion project on Steam. So one personal example I can give you is Battle Rights. Every time they ask me to play their game, I don't really care about how much money they're offering because the game is fun and I enjoy playing it. So even if it's like $1,000 an hour, it's like, yeah, I really enjoy your game, I'm gonna do it. And it sounds weird, right? Me being okay with only getting paid $1,000 an hour, and it's a weird thing when you hear it out loud. Like, hear me say, I'm okay with getting paid $1,000, but that's just how the industry is. On the other hand, I've turned down games offering $10,000 per hour, and that's because the game they want me to market is just what's the nice way to say it? Dog shit. Yeah, that's what it is. And when games like that happen, they will essentially have to pay me Scrooge McDuck swimming in cash level amount of money for me to be okay with playing. If I'm gonna force myself to go through 3 hours of mind-numbing gameplay, it needs to be worth it. And for it to be worth it, there needs to be a lot of money on the table. And a lot of you might think of me as a money grubber because of this, and that's fine. It's trying to give you a realistic mindset that I have when dealing with sponsorships. I know there are people in the real world working a 5 job every day. And here I am expecting more money to play bad video games. It can definitely warp your perspective on the value of money. Sponsored YouTube videos are around $5,000 per video for a 30-second ad. Live appearances at events ranges from $5,000 to $10,000. Tweets and Instagram posts are usually packaged into the deal because, you know, our main platform isn't Instagram, it's not Twitter, it's Twitch. So those are added on. And as I said at the start, all these numbers I have is based off of my own experience as a Twitch streamer who averages 10,000 viewers. It is consistent with my friends who have 500 viewers. It is consistent with my friends who have 50,000 viewers. So this one is so comprehensive that I will probably have to do another standalone video on it.
Okay, thank you, Disguised Toast. The link to his video will be in the description. Like I said, we will end up going over that video in its entirety at another time because it can all be applied to Phil in some way, shape, or form. But did you hear what he said about mobile games? The same thing that he shitted on earlier. You heard what kind of money can be made off those too. For someone to be a businessman or a woman, or just to be in business in general, you have to be open-minded to everything. You should never close yourself off. You're seeing that in YouTube now, actually, where people are reaching out and doing other types of content. You're seeing different communities cross over. There's nothing wrong with any of that. Some people are moving on to those opportunities a little faster than others. It doesn't necessarily matter, and you can still be very successful where you're at. Everybody's going to hit a ceiling eventually, you know what I'm saying? But you should at least keep your options open to whatever is available to you. So that's my best advice to you as it pertains to that. As it pertains to Phil, he's an idiot. He's an absolute idiot. Like, that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is real money. And even to someone like Toast, to D-Toast, I'll call him, even he says that's the lower rung compared to what can be made. And he's pulling about $20,000 a month. No begging. No begging. I know, it's kind of weird if you watched all my videos and over the person that I report on. It seems odd, indeed. But, yeah. It's crazy, ain't it? But it's a great video. I'll leave the link in the description. And we, like I said, we got that clip, right? All right, we're keeping that clip because I'm gonna want other clips of that video too because it's useful. It's universally useful. So shouts out to D-Toast. Thank you very much for making that video. Great video. All right, let's finish this up.
Just fucking give me anyone. I don't care. You know, it's on the left. It's probably the best horse. Just waiting for woman to have it. I like that one. Fuck you. Well, I got my horse. What plastic I prefer a penne. Oh! Easy to eat. Oh! Phil's a faggot. Phil's...
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and cut that there. So, We will wait for the aftermath of whatever this sponsored stream is. It should be interesting. I would assume there'll be, whether there's a hang-up or not, we're not sure. Phil's going to try to be crafty, I would assume, about this moving forward. But we will see. As soon as we find out what the results are of that, we will report on it right away. Well, somewhat right away. You know how I do. We'll move on from there. Yet again, shouts out to the Jackal's Lair and the Boys podcast with James Lesser, as well as all those other fellows up there. Shouts out to LSB, by the way. He had a birthday a couple days ago. I'm pretty sure I said something to him on Twitch, wishing him a happy birthday, but if I didn't, then I wish him a happy birthday here. LSB, if you're hearing this, you know me, I'm late about shit. So, there you go on that. But happy birthday nonetheless, my dude. Check out his channel, by the way. Great channel. Also, check out Agent Proper and whatnot in the Pig Roach files. The link to those videos will be in my description box. Please check them all out. I hope you enjoy them. And that's it. I have a couple of small projects coming up. Someone on Twitter asked for a low tier God video. I actually have a video lined up for that, as well as Phil had some small clip of himself flexing. We will definitely go over that and see if it's worthwhile. Ladies and gentlemen, this is DSP News. Always late, never breaking, unreliable coverage that you can't count on. A GTG Network and Productions. I am your host / anchor GTG, and I'm signing off. Have a good day, guys. End the broadcast. Wait, what? Ladies and gentlemen, in the worst case scenario, this might be a two-parter. Don't know if we're going to actually attach it all into one video, or you'll get 2 videos in one day whenever this goes up, but this might actually become a two-parter. So, yeah, look forward to that. Not sure how we're going to pull that off. Have a good day. Man, I'll see you guys later.
Niggas can't touch me, baby. Okay, maybe Jay-Z or maybe not. Pardon if I sound lazy, I've been puffing crazy, writing puff shit, so motherfucker, fuck you, pay me, or lay down in your feces. My guns talk, I'm speechless. My bench that teller, I bench that fella, and I peep this. I eat you, then wash it down with who you eat with. Me and Elzai, yeah, we split. He's sick, I'm sick of how sick he is. He's sick of how sick me is. Me, baby, me, sickest in the D. SSHD LP, I can fuck. That's what ladies tell me. 83, I was fucking, I was 6. Head in my mama's daycare, yeah, that was nothing, I'm the shit. Back into my rhyme again. Niggas call me arrogant, that's because I'm confident. I found it when I found a pen. 3 deals later, 3 meals later, trying to win. About to be signed again, that's right, I'm about to clown again. Knock, knock, who is that? It's the cat, that is snap. Throw cheese in the trap, on your homie, you a rat. Ha ha ha, I'm back. Matter of fact, I never left. Those who say they ain't expect it, can't accept it. Haters left this, boy, no choice but to blow. Fuck another hoe from on another pole. Fuck a show, fuck a flow. I'm about getting money fast while you rapping. Or perhaps you hustling sucker slow. Ice glow, sticky green, but Jones, sicky team. Cook, home, put powerful white boy. Ricky Cream, get him straight if he lean. 50 fiends in the line, nickel 9, been around. Niggas you a nil around. From a line to a rhyme, I'm a dime. Now when I'm around, niggas calming down, eating like it's Ramadan.
Co to się dzieje? Kurwa, jaka incepcja. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Everyone, hello, hello, and welcome. Oh, the camera's on.
Cue the Seinfeld. Oh, the camera's on. How long have you been watching? Did you see all of that?
Yeah, check it.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is DSP News, the unreliable ones. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the newsroom. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have a very, very special report for you. Low Tier God versus DSP. The match, the rematch, if you will, that never was. What it could have been, how both men could have benefited from it, and how a ghost from the past of both of these men still haunts them to this very day. I'm going to attempt to break down this situation as best I can. Not just a matter of my own investigation and background visually watching a lot of these things happen, but I'm also going to fill in some blanks as best I can. Also, we're going to delve a little bit into Low Tier God's background. Now, there's quite a bit there. I'm not going to get into, I'm not going to get into everything because there's some dirt there, and I'm not going to do all that. But what we will do is get into some of his dirt as it pertains to the FGC. His background and some of the beefs that he's had. Some of them that I've chosen that I felt that were befitting. And he addresses one of them with this game and what could have been and how lucrative that deal could have been. We're going to talk about that, and I'm going to show you a video that actually shows the aftermath of that. The embarrassment, if you will, that Low Tier God took at the hands of Vince Camp in that race to 10. Also, I'm going to bring up another competitor later on who went 50-0 on Low Tier God in a single match. Absolutely amazing. I wanted to grab you footage, and it's just brutal. So I will link the video down in the description. It's about 2 hours long. It's a hard watch. That's all I got to tell you. I give Low Tier God a lot of credit. He tried. But he essentially just got decimated by a player that was leaps and bounds above him, who was able to essentially break down his movements before he even did it after a while. He already knew what Low Tier God was thinking. It was terrible. And in real time, Reddit, SRK, Capcom United, and I think Event Hubs were all basically like keeping track of this all in real time. Hence, one of the reasons why Low Tier God's name is as big as it is. This is going to be a journey. There's a lot of videos. There's a lot of stuff to unwrap. But I hope you guys will enjoy it. And I hope that, for the most part, if not flushing out the full story, I can at least push you guys to the right direction. If you guys would like to dig into this further, or at least give you guys a better understanding, if possible, on why maybe Low Tier God turned this all down. So I'll present you with some facts, give you my opinion at the end. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys all know how this works. This is DSP News, always late, never breaking, unreliable coverage that you can't count on. The GTG Never Get production. You guys all know the slogan. We'll be starting off our first video with the button check here. There's actually 3 videos from him, all back to back to back. And let's go ahead and get into it.
Heard by now. I just heard about this yesterday, so of course I had to talk about it. That none other than the infamous DSP himself seems to be in a pickle once again. Now, this dude, if you don't know him, he has a pretty bad reputation as far as getting into some shit. He was caught supposedly stroking it on stream not too long ago. Now,
yet again, Button Check basically does fighting game news. Very good at it. He also is a competitor. He also goes to tournaments and things of that sort. A friend of his on the show also participates and whatnot, so he knows his stuff. The reason why I've chosen this particular video is because I want you guys to kind of see what the FGC thinks of DSP. Not only of his situation of DSP gaming being demonetized, but how when DSP tries to flex, how at least in a small part, in a small way, on how the community actually views it. I think it's important.
Known for like cheating or talking shit or just doing some grimy stuff.
He was the guy that got caught masturbating in front of children. I think he's like 30. He's like in his 30s or something. He's in his 30s and he did that in front of children.
That's right. Yes.
But I've seen so much. I'm a fan. What? I don't know what to say.
Of course, and I did it on purpose. That's why I'm still on Twitch and I'm still on YouTube and not banned, right?
Yeah, so you didn't get banned? You didn't get fired from any MCNs or anything, right?
No.
You didn't get fired from the cinema? No? No?
No, I didn't.
No? Oh, you didn't, you didn't get released? What about Lavaria? Lavaria?
Oh my god.
They dropped you.
No, they didn't.
That video.
I read this tweet the other day, yesterday, that said DSP can't monetize his videos anymore because he's a fucking moron that had a false AdSense account and then got disconnected and Thirst fired him. I think this is legal. For those of you that don't know, what AdSense is basically something that a lot of YouTubers, most of them do on their channels. It's to where you can have ads. Now there's different ways to do that, but basically the more people you have watch your channels and you know the ads they kind of go by, there's different versions of ads, but basically the more views, the more money you make. Now what's interesting about this statement, it says he created a false AdSense account. I don't know how you even do that. Like you never do some kind of hack or like technical dude or something like that. I don't know. If you guys know, hit me up in the comment section because I've actually never heard of that. But of course, instantly people started expressing their opinion saying, I feel like we say
now he's not the only one. I was contacted by someone who has a bit of better has a better insight into that whole situation. I hope to be able to speak to him hopefully this week and see what can kind of come out of this conversation. And I hope that in my actual report directed towards DSP and this whole AdSense situation, I can give some more clarity. But besides this individual, which I appreciate you reaching out to me if you're watching the video, some other people had reached out and said, hey man, I think it's bullshit. Hey man, how is it that someone can pull this off, this, that, and the third? And yet again, one way of looking at it is the fact that DSP's reach, which is kind of silly. And not just on YouTube, but on Twitch. For him to be able to survive that long, to get away with what he's getting away with. One of the big things on Twitter currently is an emote was made of the DSP Muppet, which is great, by the way. It's fucking beyond great. It's just amazing. It is what it is. It exists, and everybody acknowledges it, and that's all that needs to be said. That's where it's at. It's omnipotent in some ways. A Twitch streamer had used it as one of his emotes, and that shit got banned almost immediately. That's bullshit. It's an emote of somebody else's creation, and somehow DSP got that banned. It's a goddamn shame, to be honest. In any case, we're still looking into that here at GTG Network and Production. Just give us a little time. Hopefully something comes out. Let's continue.
The end of DSP every year. Dude's like a cockroach. And of course it's because he seems to get into some shit every year, but he always manages to find his way back. Another dude goes on to say it seems pretty legit now. He literally can't make any money off of YouTube now, and he can't appeal it because he's broke. hardcore. Now, I actually did verify this. I went to the dude's channel, and it looks like it is legit. He posted a video 2 days ago basically saying that he was penalized. They took away his monetization. He's trying to appeal it, but he also says it doesn't look good. It blows my mind that he would just abandon his channel like that because he can't monetize it no more. This channel that he's put into so much work over the years, where people know him from, and they go because they know that.
Now this is really interesting because this is something that if you're a DSP, if you're a detractor, a troll, a hater, or a fan of detractors, you kind of understand why DSP is going to walk away from it. You know better. But to an outsider, you don't. He's not a detractor channel. Okay? Button Check is something strictly, you know, FGC news and, you know what I'm saying, and up and coming events or whatnot. He only, DSP, believe it or not, was part of the FGC at one time and certainly is a laughing stock of it. And he's he is the example in a lot of ways of what not to be. So he's going to get some coverage over something like this because there's a lot of people who know him or know of him. With that being said, the fact that someone who has not walked upon the abyss of doubt doesn't understand the that goes into why would someone who had a channel this long be willing to walk away from it. And this is something that I've told you, ladies and gentlemen, almost since the beginning. If you're not financially beneficial to him, you're nothing to him. To be honest, it's just the way of the world. And if my investigation ends up proving anything, if DSP ends up getting his AdSense back on DSP Gaming, and I'm recording this on the 1st, by the 20th, which would be about a month, then my source was bang on about what he thinks. Now, like I said, I need further clarification, and I hope to be able to bring that to you soon. How I get down here, I stay late about shit. But I like to think that it's not a waste of time when you watch it. If it is, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. In any case, let's continue. There's no surprise on why he'll walk away from
his channel, and he's just gonna leave it just like that. Like, oh my, just because he can't monetize. There's so much more you can do with the channel than monetize it. So much more than registrants. Just play. That's a callback to yesterday. But there's so much more that you can do with your channel than that. It has to be more than that. And I know this is kind of...
So apparently, if you haven't heard by now, LTG himself, low tier...
Now, no, brother. Sorry, it isn't. We're transitioning into the second video. There isn't anything more than that. For someone who has a channel with 100,000 plus subscribers, almost 200,000, and you can't monetize, people will find other ways to network. People will use that as a platform to promote something else. They would be able to, if possible, use the brick and mortar of that to build something else. The problem is we're dealing with a roach, and with that, we're dealing with a roach nest. And if a little bit of pressure comes upon that nest, everything scatters. Everything. It's just how he is. It's just how his community is, his fan base, the pig roach cult, whatever you want to call it. The lack of creativity, the lack of forethought, the lack of ingenuity, the lack and the unwillingness to change is one of the things that holds DSP back in a way that no detractor ever could. I understand that people like using Freddy Boy as the boogeyman, and I can understand that. And whenever something bad happens to DSP, in some way, he has to be behind it. He has to be the mastermind. I can't say that he did or he didn't. But what I will tell you, if there is something greater, a greater thorn in Phil's side, a greater crucifix that crucifies Phil to the brink of his goutness, it's by far himself. He is his own Judas Iscariot. Nothing said. Not Tevin, not SOK, not Freddy Boy, not anybody hurts DSP like DSP. If anybody pees on his hands and just wipes it off and continues to have to smell it all day, it's Phil. It is what it is. He is his worst enemy. And for the rest of you, for the rest of humanity, if you will, you're merely there to take the blame. So he can feel better about himself when he goes to bed at night. That's how this works. I hope that throughout this video you'll get that understanding. And more importantly, you might even see a bit of the similarities between Low Tier God and DSP. They're by far two different men, but they sure as hell have some similar tendencies. DSP is.
God was actually banned, kicked off of Twitter because he got into a fight with a fellow FGC member. Now, I don't have all the pieces to this one because...
Now, this happened today. This happened August 1st, Wednesday, August 1st, 2018. I also tried to look for some of those tweets. By now, at the time I'm recording this, there's a bunch of stuff archived, but before there wasn't. So, it is what it is because his account is gone. Now, granted, if any of you guys have followed Low Tier God or know of him for any period of time, he would have never did it. Low Tier God has had his Twitter banned quite a few times, and he always bounces back. How long will he be suspended? We're not sure. Some people believe it's a permaban. Some people think it's not. After this, Low Tier God has never come back to Twitter. He'll be back. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, he'll be back.
Because like I was saying, LTG is gone. His Twitter is gone, so it's very hard to locate any of his tweets. But I was able to get a few of them. And before we start, you may want to go ahead and duck behind the sofa, maybe watch this episode from behind the table, because shots will be fired in this episode of Button Check. Let's go. Now getting into it, we'll break it down from all angles, but Low Tier God actually posted this tweet before he was kicked off entirely, and it says, I just lost another Twitter account with almost 8,000 followers for arguing with a fellow black man about a video game. I didn't use one threat, yet I got suspended for using the N-word. But threats were used towards me, and his account is still standing. No matter what I do, black people have always been my biggest haters and have caused me to lose some type of money. Okay, so the tweets that LTG is referring...
Now, I want you to try to remember this as this video goes on, because when we get to Vince Scants later, this is going to be important. It's going to be important why Low Tier God said what he said in his video, and then I'll explain exactly why. And I will get to one of the underlying reasons that he ended up turning DSP down. I'm not trying to turn this into I'm not trying to do no SJW shit. It's none of those type of things. But I want to give you a glimpse into what his mindset was, at least my own personal opinion, at that particular time. And I'll try to break down that situation. And yet again, the monkey that's still on his back after all these years.
When he came at ICE, and for those of you that don't know who ICE is, I actually referred to him in a couple other videos, but he's a GAL player, a GAL main. He's come to a lot of Texas events. I'm not sure exactly where he's from. He might be from like Oklahoma or something like that. He's been in the scene for like years, and he's a dope guy. Every time I've known him, he's actually a real chill dude, and I've actually really liked him because, of course, he mains GAL, and so do I. And these are the tweets that LTG was referring to before they got deleted, talking to ICE. Right here, he posted at him, exactly, you're clout chasing. You want a name, and I'm not giving a name to some hating ass, clout chasing, fake ass blank, and you mad now, you blank, and don't ever test my energy. My levels are the same online and off. LTG goes on to say, hold up a second, am I supposed to be scared of you blank? And ducked what tweet, you lame ass blank? Damn, there's a lot of blanks in this one. That's what she said. She really did say that. So ICE comes back.
Mine didn't. Anyway, with that being said, the situation that Low Tier God had here, which you'll find out at the end of this, was a complete misunderstanding. It didn't need to go that route. And as it pertains to Low Tier God's energy, online as well as off, from the people that I've heard who have actually been to tournaments with him, who have had a chance to talk to him, this, that, and the third, he comes across as a nice guy. The whole get that ass banned and all that kind of stuff is more of a persona than anything. And he just comes across as a pretty nice guy. You know what I'm saying? He's not really looking for no heat with nobody. I'm sure if he's backed in a corner, he's going to actually defend himself. I'll give him at least that much credit compared to DSP. But to sit there and to kind of pull this heat right here on Twitter is a bit unnecessary. Like, you don't need... I mean, keep the internet, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? We don't need to be taking that shit offline and turning into what essentially the Call of Duty community where motherfuckers are swatting each other and dudes are getting killed. Just something to think about. It's just not funny anymore. But I'll also get into the era that Low Tier God and DSP came from and what they represent. And maybe why, or maybe that's why I should say, why this happened.
Back at LTG saying clout chasing, I responded to you directly. I could understand if I quoted your tweet. Secondly, how would me beating you give me clout? Real players already know what's up. You're a black Maximilian. Oh my God, a black Maximilian. I'm just trying to picture what that would look like in my head. A black Maximilian. Jesus? Okay, after Black Maximilian, he continues saying, "You're here for the views. Otherwise, your mentality about fighting games would change." Now, at that point, it seems like LTG actually questioned his posting or the level of skill that Ice has. Ice responded saying, "I haven't placed, LOL. Only one person in this tweet has gotten top 8 at a major and top 64 at Evo. I won't harp on other postings. I'll give you a hint. It's not you." Oh, I got hit by that one. Y'all get hit by that one? Damn, I might have internal bleeding in this bitch. He goes on to add, "The only reason why you're more known is because you went on E-League and lost, ? You don't even go to tournaments, and if you do, you're wasting your money. I don't know how many times I have to tell you I can't clout from someone who doesn't have clout. Anyone can rage on YouTube and streams." And then Ice reloads the Glock that is his iPhone, puts the bullets in the Twitter and says, "I'm still waiting on you to show me some results. Every time I show up, I do well. Nothing less than top 64. You're struggling to make it out of pools, my friend. I have news for you. I don't know how you view yourself, but nobody thinks you're good but you, and that's okay." Oh,
damn! Ice! Easy, brother! Easy! Jesus Christ! Let's stop this black on black crime. Have we not seen enough of this with Drake and Meek Mills? Let's please stop. Let's stop. Jesus Christ! Oh my God!
Get it. That was it. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm gone, y'all. I'm gone. And then Perfect Legend jumps in too, and he says to LTG, "Ice wasn't against you, man. It shouldn't have even came to all this." Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I hope most of you are still alive. Some of you probably need first aid. You probably done called 911. Paramedics is on the way right now because of all them shots they were fired. I hope the children were out the way of this video, y'all, because lives were in danger with all of these shots. All in all, y'all, I know I completely had fun with this on my part, but this is the real, y'all. The realness of this matter. Like, I know LTG. Now, I'm not really cool homies with him. I do know him. I've talked with him, and I have no beef with him. At the same token, I know Ice, and I have no beef with him either. Ice has actually been real cool to me since day one. And I can tell you firsthand that because of the way this happened, I know Ice must have been irked really bad. He must have been feeling it, and he must have been feeling like this was needed to do. Not only did he do it, but when he did it, LTG got banned. Like, that's hard. That's hardcore. That's like bodying somebody. You know what I'm saying? Ice goes on to say, though, he doesn't leave it there. The next day, I believe, he says, "I'm not sorry for what I said, but I apologize about how I said it. I got out of character for sure, so I ask you guys to forgive me and charge it to the game." Proving my point that he doesn't usually act like that. But, you know, the FGC spoke back. Basically, everybody said the same thing. They were like, "No, it's all good. We understand. It was needed," stuff like that. If somebody was about to do it and it must have been you, you're our hero, you know, basically stuff like that. Busta adds on to this saying, "People with no character can say and do whatever they want because they have no standards. Someone with character can't break it without having to do damage control. I have no problem defending what you said. People need to speak up sometimes." Thank you guys for watching. And then Low Tier God actually adds to it as well.
Okay, now, that last tweet, I think, addresses DSP in a whole lot of ways. But what that was there in that last video package, if you will, is Low Tier is the culmination of Low Tier God over the years calling black people all kinds of nonsense and constantly believing that they have been holding him back out of jealousy and this, that, and third. And which is strange because last time I checked, a lot of the people that support him are black. And in a lot of ways, it goes back to what the era, if you will, that him and DSP come from. Let me explain. So DSP comes from a particular background, at least in the FGC back in his day, where it wasn't about clout, as you know now. Clout has, I guess you could say, that respect has evolved into clout, if you will, devolved if you want. But it was really about respect. It was about building up your name. And with DSP went about it the way DSP would go about it. All he got was negativity, so he built off the negativity, because that's all he was going to get. But then, when he wanted recognition, he, instead of him throwing it into everybody's face and whatnot, and him just trying to be humble about it and saying, well, I'm glad I was able to make it as far as I did for my country, or whatever the case may be, oh, I'm 4th place, the rest of you guys are scrubs, Then he gets challenged to not play his little side tournament gimmicky PS1 horrible port. When they were like, okay, come to an actual cabinet and come get this work, DSP lost. And then what did DSP do when he lost? He went home and made excuses, which is ironic because he himself said, oh, Alex Valle and John Choi, let's see what kind of excuses they give when they lose to him. And come to find out, he lost. And he holds on to that to this very day, which is the reason why he clinches on to that 4th place finish as hard as he does, because it's all he has. It's the only thing that he can kind of shield himself with, or actually it's not even a shield anymore. It ain't strong enough. Ain't nothing hard about it. He blankets himself in that. It's the only way to comfort himself. It doesn't shield him from anybody. The FGC takes shots at that shit all day. But for him, it's enough comfort. It has enough snuggle in it when the last time Panda washed it to bring him back a little bit and whatnot. He's like, I was somebody. They all hate me for no reason. They're jealous. That's what it is. I always have your 4th place finish. I always have you. And that's all he really does have. He has nothing else. Even his win over Justin Wong, which I ended up having to do some research on that. I apologize about that. I said that in a previous report that in 2005 he didn't beat Justin Wong, which he didn't. He ended up beating him in either 2006 or 2007. I actually have some video on that, not in this video, but I do have it. We'll talk about that in another video. So he did end up beating him in a super tournament. I think it was Evo East. So he has that. But even then, you know what I'm saying? Even then, Phil over-exaggerates that story and makes it seem bigger than it really was. So there you go on that. In any case, he came from an era where you made a name. Low Tier God is like the remnants of that, so to speak, and the transition, and is kind of the transition into what we have now, where the FGC wants to be taken seriously. They want to be on ESPN. A lot of the guys are starting to dress up like the Smash community and Legends, Warcraft, things like that, or StarCraft, sorry, and things of that sort, to where the big money can be drawn in. The FGC is not there yet, but it's certainly trying to. And Low Tier God, I feel, in my own personal opinion, is kind of on the borderlines of those two. He's right there with the old school, you know, talk shit to build up hype. And yet he's trying, and yet at the same time he still falls into this new era where everybody needs to kind of hold some type of, there has to be some code of ethics, so to speak. And he's right there on that borderline. He's kind of like that rebel, if you will. One of the things that hurts Low Tier God, in my own personal opinion, as it pertains to his playing style, is he doesn't adapt well in the game. Also, when he has tools, he's at his worst point. And I know that seems weird. When he has bar, when he has V-trigger and all that, for some reason, things don't click. When all of that is gone, when his back is against the goddamn wall, and he really has to knuckle up and fight, he's respectable. He may be even a little bit more than respectable. I like him better when he doesn't have bar and he doesn't have V-trigger and he has no choice but to fight or die. I like that LTG more than when he has tools, because for whatever reason it gets squandered, it gets wasted, whatever the case may be. Do I think Low Tier God is terrible as a player? No. I think that he hasn't found a way to put it all together yet. He still has time, but he just hasn't figured out a way to put it all together yet. As it pertains to his persona and just his history in general, what happened on Twitter was probably no different than any other time he ended up getting banned off Twitter. It is what it is. You kind of have to find the line between what's entertainment and then what you're really willing to chase after. And if you're planning on chasing it, what are you willing to give up to chase it? To be honest, it's just sometimes it's just not worth it. And then low tier God was in his feelings, and maybe if he had actually read the situation a little better, which is hard to fuck that up. I've done it too. He would have looked at it and I didn't need to go that way. In any case, the era that these men come from is kind of one of the reasons why things are the way they are in a lot of ways. Because especially with DSP, there aren't a lot of guys like DSP, and from his time period, it's a mental type thing with him. And all he did was try to use his circumstances, use his surroundings to justify. Whereas low tier God is, instead of it, low tier God wants clout. Well, he feels that he has clout. He feels like he's in a position where he has it, and that's because so many people have benefited from him in some way, shape, or form, or have made themselves look better. And to be the bad, he is your classic bad guy. He's someone who you almost always assume he's going to lose in that big match, but yet you want to see the pop-off leading up to that match, and you're hoping to see something juicy afterwards. Not violence, nothing like that. You're wanting to hear him justify it and just pick to his next fight. And that's kind of what he's fallen into, to be honest. He may just have a little bit more respect than DSP.
È comodo, casomai sei proprio troppo
I would say he has way more respect than DSP. After a while, some of those people get tired of it too. Because if you're going to chase clout, then you need to have something to back that clout up. You know what I'm saying? You need to have some, as most people would say,
impara a luttare, vedi cosa prende, cosa vedi, temperatura suona,
that you're as good as you think you are. But that's neither here nor there. But that's also something from that era too. Let's continue.
Well, now I want to emphasize that this is not one big thread where everybody is just posting. Everybody just kind of posting their own thoughts and stuff like that after the E-League, you know, their own observations. And then LTG says, how do all you stay motivated to compete in SF5 when you'll never make what big names make? LTG, being a realist like he always is, pretty much just speaking his mind, puts it out there like, if you know you're not going to be a big name, you don't have 6 hours to dedicate like all these other guys do per day, why even compete? And then of course, the FGC. First, Gustavo, aka 801 Strider, says, it's not about the money, it's about the love of competition and the road to self-improvement. Money is the result of that. And the part that it gets hilarious to me is DSP actually joins this conversation. It says, when I played at a high level pre-Street Fighter 4,
this is going to be important because as you've seen, or as you're going to see, as you've seen what you will see moving forward, he's kind of gotten to that point where if I can't financially benefit from it, it's wasting my time. In a lot of ways, it's how DSP is. Except for DSP takes that shit to a whole nother level of just gravity. He's got no sensibility about it. He certainly has he's got no character about it. He's not humble about it in any type of way. Sadly, he has no shame. Which is the reason why he can get down and dirty like that and be okay. That's how he sleeps at night. He really believes he's justified in what he's doing. Especially now, where he feels like after 10 years, you guys owe him. It's absolutely ridiculous. But I want you to see the kind of difference. Low tier gods like, hey, you guys will never make the money that the big name guys are, so why do you guys care so much? Which is strange that low tier god would even say that. I mean, he's been in this situation. And then let's hear DSP go ahead and try to, you know, read hoof off his relationship, snort that shit out, and see who cares. And if anybody decides to go ahead and fry up the pork.
There was no real money to be made. So you played games for the love of it. And nobody played games they didn't like. A far cry from today where people grinded out in shitty games like Street Fighter 5 just to make money. And then my boy Felis Cactus, not sure who the hell this dude is, responds back to DSP and says, You've never been high level though. And then Phil, aka DSP, responds back, fourth at Evo Nationals, won Evo East twice, and placed at all other regional qualifiers, won numerous tournaments with documented results. You are a moron. And also, I don't know why he left it out, but if I were Phil, aka DSP, I would have said, and I was also first to come first on a live stream. Thank you. Thank you. Woo! Get it? See what I did? Can I come first on the live stream because he was caught checking? Thank you. Woo! I'll be here all weekend, y'all. Butt check and scene. All right, thank you. We are back from the nonsense. So he posts his resume basically, and then UA Devil May Care responds, "That's some good shit. I'll give it up to you." But then my boy Matt, no idea who he is once again, says, "But you were never good." At one.
Okay, now that was great. Thank you yet again to Blood Check. Check out his channel. The links to those 3 videos will be in my description. Like I said, do check out his channel if you're interested about the FGC and what goes on. He posts once a day, and then he has his own show on Sundays, I believe. It's a good watch. It's another change of pace. It's something different, and you guys should be open for it. Now, Vince Camp. The ghost from the past, essentially, that haunts both DSP and Low Tier God. DSP gets it first. This right here is going to be the story. DSP talking his shit, gets called out, and then puts himself in a very bad situation and tries so hard to stay face that in a lot of ways what should have happened didn't happen, and because it didn't happen, it actually hurt him worse. It actually made him look that much weaker, which led to what comes next after that. And then how that basically is one of the reasons why, allegedly, he was shunned from the FGC. At least some say. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Sometime between 2005 and 2006, Phil had been talking a lot of trash over the internet to Viscant, legendary West Coast Marvel and Street Fighter player, who still plays today. He had been doing so for months, but Viscant finally had enough, and challenged Phil to a money match that year's Evo. Viscant was confident Phil wouldn't accept his challenge, knowing very well that he could beat Phil at any game they played. Phil did his best to squirrel his way out of the challenge, and jokingly asked that they fight in real life instead, presumably believing that Viscant wouldn't accept. Phil actually challenged Viscant to a fistfight at Evo. However, what Phil didn't expect was that Viscant would actually accept. And unbeknownst to Phil, Viscant had extensive experience, having probably been in more gym fights in the past 2 months than Phil had been in his entire life. Over the next few months, Phil continued to organize the fight, hoping that Viscant would end up backing down from the challenge. They even organized the signing of documents, releasing them from liability in the event of serious injury. And genuine debate was had regarding who would serve as a referee, and whether or not there would be a weight limit. Viscant would later write that it sounds like a total farce, except I can assure you that it was 100% serious, which makes us both look like total, complete fucking idiots. Leading up to Evo, Phil learned from West Coast players visiting an East Coast tournament that Viscant was dead set on seeing the fight through, and he was informed of Viscant's fighting experience. Phil was rather shook, learning that he may have to actually fight Viscant. He messaged Viscant, asking to call the fight off, and proposed that they, quote, pretend like we're going to fight, and then when a whole crowd is around us, we both do DX crotch chops to the crowd. It'll be such a goof. Viscant initially refused, genuinely wanting to fight.
How much of a bitch are you for that, DSP? How much of a bitch are you for that? At that particular point, you should have went up to Viscant and been like, you know what, man? I just don't want to get my ass. Let's just call it off, and then we go our separate ways. That's what you should have did. But see, Phil was like, oh, well, if I can get him on board with this, we'll just say fuck you to the crowd, and then they'll hate both of us. And then it won't be so bad. You know what I'm saying? And he'll take some of my heat, and then I can just scurry away back to my rock. That's what Phil was thinking. The thing is about Vince Cannon is he's always been a stand-up, and he's always been one of these people who, if, you know, someone stepped to him, as Low Tier God ended up getting punished later. He's there. And that's the reputation that the man had. Yeah, he talks shit and this, that, and the third, and there's a bunch of banter around. But once you start taking shit too far, then shit needs to ramp up. That's what men do. Preferably, you can talk it out. It should be talked out. I'll talk to anybody who has some common sense. You know what I'm saying? We can work things out, you know, through words. It should be. That's how it should be. That's how men handle it. But if you want to keep with your bantering and all your bullshit, you just want to go to your shit talking and threats, I'm just going to walk away from it because it's not really worth the time. Put hands to me, then you'll be contact with walks away from it. If either one of us. Now, that's not me talking like a tough guy, that's just how men act. Everything can be worked out without bringing violence into play. But DSP, whether it was jokingly or not, should have never even brought it there. Because back in DSP's day, motherfuckers were really about that heat. Like, dudes were not playing around with that. On the East and the West. Midwest especially. The Midwest, at least the Midwest FGC, were some pretty cool guys, some pretty stand-up guys from my general understanding. But they throw hands with anything. Whoever wanted can get it. Especially them boys from Detroit. They were nothing to play with, or Michigan in general. They just, you know, Kansas City too. They just weren't St. Louis. Those guys just weren't nothing to play with. You know what I'm saying? And Phil should have known that. But see, Phil looked at Vince Stanton, you know, like I said, he was a rather small guy, and he thought he could impose his will. And he thought, well, and then goes into a bitch move like that. How are you going to disgrace wrestling? Disgrace wrestling by doing some silly shit like that. And just in case you guys don't know, what Phil was trying to do was a reference to what Shawn Michaels did with Mike Tyson to screw over Stone Cold before WrestleMania that particular year. And interestingly enough, Shawn Michaels in real life, who has a whole lot more best than DSP, has gotten his ass handed to him in real life quite a few times. And he kept taking the beating because he wanted to prove that even he still managed to stand in there. And he took quite a bit of ass from Jim Cornette as well as plenty of other wrestlers. I don't know. Now, if you guys ever want me to do a wrestling video on this subject, this is what I know about it. We'll go over and whatnot. I'm not really a historian, but I keep my eyes, I keep my ears to the ground, I keep my eyes to the sky.
But he would later agree to just drop it. Afterwards, there was little animosity between the two. Many people disliked Phil in the FGC, and as a result, he was routinely confronted by people he shit-talked online. Despite his repeated claims of superiority over other players, he almost never backed them up. One of the more memorable examples was when Jaha, a West Coast player and former Marine, confronted Phil with some friends at EVO 2002. To many witnesses, it seemed as if they were on the verge of attacking him before Vince stepped in to defuse the situation.
And, fucking use videos.
The hell? No. Now keep in mind, as they said, after Vince Camp and DSP's little thing, no hard feelings, whatever. And then later on, the man